You conquered another game. A long day. A job well done. And the final work call. Where your place. Come as you are. And fit in comfortably. Mr. Mice. Eat locally, enjoy casually.
Stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance,
Pushing limits.
Seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
it's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Gold Line's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable.
And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms, light as a feather.
It's a gold line.
It's a Gold Line.
It's a gold line.
And is the choice of champions.
It has happened where people just haven't noticed and they've run out of time. Sounds good. Oh, overcooked it a bit. Jeez.
Clean! Keep going, ET! Keep going! Keep going! Keep going! Keep going! Keep going! Keep going!
Minus 1,000 flash will win Apparay Curl.
Oh, they're really sweeping this, boys.
They're
really sweeping this. Oh, boy, you can't give up a steal here.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, nice shot from Caitlin.
Here we go, it's happening.
Yeah, draw for the win for Rylan Kleider. Needs a piece of the forefoot. He's been really good all game. Trevor Johnson on this one here.
Can't hear yet for line ever.
No,
Oh,
they like
good.
line. Now doesn't have the speed. They like the line. Doesn't have the speed. They're going hard for line. You have to get by this top yellow. Trevor Johnson leaning on it. He's by it. Now does it stop in time? Has to stop in time. What a shot from Rylan Kleider. We thought it was maybe the hardest option up from the booth, but that's why we're not down there.
A long day. A job well done. And the final work call. Where your place. Come as you are. And fit in comfortably. Mr. Mice. Eat locally, enjoy casually.
Stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
and when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance,
Pushing limits.
Seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
it's a gold line.
it's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
Yep. Whoa. Yep.
Hello, curling fans, and welcome back inside the Mary Brown Center here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador for the third event of the Grand Slam of Curling calendar. It is the KIOTI National Women's Draw 9 action between Stefania Constantini and Rachel Homan. John Cullen here alongside 2018 Olympic gold medalist Tyler George. And Tyler, I was saying before the stream started, this is my third time seeing Team Constantini this week. I'm 3 for 3, and based on the way they're playing, I'm going to say that they're going to need to have a better game than they've had to match up to Rachel Homan, world #1, who just this year is simply not losing.
Yeah, I had a couple Constantini games over at the Europeans last week, including their bronze medal matchup against Scotland, and it's a hot, cold team. They really do have a top gear that can play with the rest of the teams in the top rankings, but it's just been some key misses in the runs, and they tend to struggle with tracky ice as well. And with slam ice, you're going to get a lot of that, and you really need to stick your release and make sure that you have a good, positive delivery to stay on these tracks. And
speaking of positive deliveries,
that's a positive one
Sarah
right there.
Wilkestone, just sailing right through the house. That is
right
just
to
about
George Street.
Yeah, just about hack weight. Yeah, when we're out on George Street on the weekend, I think we'll still see that rock traveling somewhere. But I agree with you totally. I think this Stefania Constantini team, consistent this year. They're the world #8. Of course, we know Rachel Homan, the world #1. For Constantini, they've only had one event all season that they haven't qualified at. But of the 6 events they have qualified at, they haven't made it past the quarterfinals. So they just haven't been able to find that top gear once the playoffs rolls around. But I think it's going to be a test here this morning against Rachel Homan for sure. This looks like a nice shot here from Angela Romay.
Yeah, they did qualify in both slams so far this season too. So that's the quarterfinal finish, and that one stands out a little bit more than the rest of the events on tour. But you're absolutely right. They can compete with the top teams, and they've had a lot of big wins already this season, but just can't put one full tournament together to get into the finals or get any tour event championships on their resume.
Yeah, totally. Their only final this season was all the way back at the start of September, the Euro Super Series in Stirling, Scotland. They lost that final to Scottish upstarts Faye Henderson, former world junior champions.
Would we like to go through Team Homan's finishes and events, because it's a really easy one to do?
Yeah, exactly. You only need one letter of the alphabet, and that's W.
Except for one.
Yeah, except for one. They lost the final at the co-op. At the Co-op Canadian Open, and they lost one other game at that Co-op Canadian Open. Do you know who that was to?
Was it Stefania Constantini?
It was Stefania Constantini.
Oh, what a setup.
Yeah.
That's why he's the best in the biz, folks.
Trying my best. Yeah, Rachel Homan now up to 35-2 on the year, sitting at 2-0 in this event. But one of those 2 losses to Stefania Constantini in Charlottetown. And you laugh there, and it really is, these Homan numbers over the last 2 seasons, it's almost ridiculous. I think they're approaching, I remember last year they were somewhere in the 60s in wins, and they had 7 losses. So over the last 2 seasons, we're approaching something like 100 wins with less than 10 losses. So, that's just a run that we've basically never seen in men's or women's curling.
Yeah, I mean, when you say a team's record on tour, and your partner laughs immediately, usually that means it's something either really bad or really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you kind of, if you're playing on tour this season, you should have two different records that they post online. One should be your record without the games against Homan and one with.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she's beat up on teams for sure,
or your name should be in italics if you have a victory over.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously. Yeah, I think in the last 2 years, the only teams with wins over Rachel Homan are Gim, Kim, Constantini, and Anderson, I believe, are the only teams that have beat them. So that's, very impressive. And speaking of this Constantini team, I know a lot of people follow them on tour now. They're getting to be very well known. This is a bit of a different lineup for them here this week. They have Stefania Constantini skipping, of course. We have Giulia Zardini-Lacidelli moving up to third, has played both lead and second this year. And then we have Elena Mathis, who's played a lot of third, playing second. She just threw that guard there. And Angela Romay is at lead.
Yeah, the games that we had of theirs at the Europeans, they're obviously a couple different lineups because they're constantly rotating. I thought that their best lineup they had out was with Lo Deserto in the game.
Yeah.
When she played at lead and Mathis was at second, it was the best performance I had seen from them the entire week, and Lo Deserto made pretty much everything at the lead position. Now, when they're with this rotation we're talking about, there could be many reasons why they're doing it the way that they are, maybe trying to find the correct lineup when they get closer to the Olympics and the World Championships, or it may just be a straight rotation that they're doing. The problem I have with the way they're doing it now is they're switching positions all the time, too.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to get consistent performance for an athlete in any sport when their roles are constantly changing. And it's not just that you're throwing a different position, it's different spots in the lineup. You have different roles communication-wise, too. So when you're not doing the same things game in, game out, and you're having to adjust your roles, it's that much tougher to just focus on the task at hand.
For sure. Yeah, no question about it. And I know we've talked a lot on the broadcast this week about the turnover from Europeans. You know, a lot of these teams finished up the Europeans, immediately got on a plane to fly to Newfoundland. This is all over the guard for Giulia. And I have to say, commentating their games this week, Giulia, who we've mostly seen playing front end, hasn't been as good as you'd like at the third position. Not to say that she can't do it, but yeah, that was a big mistake there. Rachel Homan with the hammer here and now lying one. But just back to what I was saying, the Europeans, you know, that's actually the time where maybe having a five-person lineup is an advantage, where you maybe get some fresh minds, some fresh bodies into the lineup, where, you know, a four-person team that's having to make that flight overseas, the time change, everything, you know, it might be a little bit harder to make that adjustment.
Honestly, I thought Giulia was the best player on the ice
at Euros.
In the semifinal matchup, definitely. And she's adjusted to that new position very well. But yeah, again, the rotation just makes things so difficult to focus on what you need to do for your team. And nothing different from what we're seeing right now for Team Homan. This team always in the same roles, always the same positions. They have made a couple lineup changes over the years, but once they do, I mean, that's their set lineup for the season. It's not rotating throughout.
Yeah, that was the change originally when this team got together. Tracy Fleury was in the house. Rachel Homan was sweeping the lead and second stones. And that was the only change they've made. They haven't made any change to the throwing lineup, but they did make the change after the first season. Maybe didn't have their best first season, but they, you know, they made that little change. Rachel got back in the house, and it's, yeah, as we said earlier, that was the right move, because they haven't looked back since. The reigning women's world champions, the reigning world number one, and not only the world number one, Tyler, but the world number one by over 100 points.
Yeah, it's not close.
It is not close. And it, you know, when you talk about the second place team, that's a really good shot there from Giulia Zardini-Lacidelli. When you talk about that, you know, that gap, like number two is Silvana Tiranzoni, a team that when it's all said and done, we're going to be talking about them as one of the best women's teams ever.
Right.
And Rachel Homan's 100 points better than them. It's not as though it's, you know, not that you'd ever be a slouch if you're number two in the world, but it's not like it's some team we've never heard of at number two that isn't in Rachel Homan's league. It's just that's how good Rachel Homan has been these last few seasons.
We just threw it with the end on that line. Like, we have to hit this side. Hitting this side is not helping. feel like I know the weight.
What weight does she want?
Don't know if Rachel loves that. I don't know if Rachel loves this.
Yeah, we'll let Rachel show you and tell you what she thinks there. So now that we've got you all caught up on the ins and outs of both of these squads, starting things off. That, as you said, really great shot by Julia there. Frozen in the pocket and getting Homan thinking a little bit. And that might be a shot that gets them out of trouble early in this first end. They really need to unlock that stone so they can move it. And that's going to take 2 shots. And it has to be something soft coming around that center guard. And it's an interesting conversation there with Rachel and Tracy, too, because first end, if you can, you really want to play something you know the speed on or you know the line on. But Rachel really thought they needed to go the other way because of the angles. So Tracy was hoping she'd still get to play the turn they did, and you could see it ended up pretty good, but it might still be gunned up onto both reds. So Rachel's still not particularly pleased with it.
Yeah, moved their shot stone, so Constantini is now lying 1. Yeah, I think it, Tyler, it kind of came down to Tracy Fleury's first stone, actually. She just was kind of hoping to sort of freeze on top of the one that was already on the forefoot. I think if she makes that, Constantini's in big trouble, but it just kind of rolled off, and Zardini Lacidelli made them pay. We'll see if Stefania can get another one in here. Has been a struggle for draw weight in this event for Stefania. Seen her be both heavy and light. And that's part of the reason why they're 0-2 in this event so far. So first rock, Stefania Constantini here in the first end.
Linea stretta. Larga. 8. Larga. Di là in meno. 6. Buona. 6. Buona velocità. Solo linea.
Mathis and Romay picking this one up now.
Love to lock this on if they can.
That's really nice.
Yeah, great shot. Question of how much they can see of that red, which looks like over half, and what kind of action you get on the second yellow. I think the top one goes pretty easy slashing the outside of the red.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
I don't think there was any question Rachel was going to play it. So the question is, again, the second stone, the shot rock, is that going to catch both reds and jam? Even if it does, still be in better shape than they were before.
So first rock for Rachel Homan in the first, and it's going to be a bullet here. Trying to get both yellow stones moving. Sarah Wilkes on this right out of the hand. You got to get by that center. Okay, they do. Now, how much action do they have? Wow. Actually didn't get that yellow moving at all, Tyler. I'm a little surprised by that.
Yeah, it was a little too thick. They needed to hit quite a bit thinner to get any action on the top one. And you know, Rachel, probably for that reason, really wanted to play the other way on Tracy's shot, because that's the angle it set up to double jam on both of those reds.
12. Non usi un figlio di roll interno. 12. 1, 2.
So what's the call here, Tyler? Are they hitting this red one?
It looks that way. The broom is up next to the red stone. You can really put some good pressure on Rachel with a hit here, too, and it blocks off that draw path. So Rachel will have to decide if she's willing to draw side of the button against 3. If Stefania can make this. I like the shot. Make them look at, well, it's going to be 5 with those 2 yellows in the back, too.
Yep.
So, yeah, absolutely. If you can make them look at a pile, first end, morning draw, that's your ideal situation, really, for Team Constantini.
So last rock here for Constantini.
Dead nose would be good. Needs to get up a little bit. Avoid the jam on the back.
And so it won't be a draw against 5, but still a potential draw against 3. I don't know if there's a hit here for Rachel Homan that makes sense. I'm sure she'd rather throw the hit just this early in the game. Okay, so she's just giving Constantini 1 here.
I think that's the idea.
Yeah.
If they get anywhere on the inside of that stone, then you got quite a ways you can curl. It's just, you have to be a little careful because she's inside the track that Constantini threw, and these edge of 4, middle 4 tracks early in the game on slam ice tend to cut.
So final stone for Rachel Homan here in the first. A hit against 3.
Emma, curl! Curl!
Should be just fine.
And does not move the yellow stone far enough, and so it will be a steal of 1 for Stefania Constantini. Rachel Homan will keep the hammer when we come back.
When you've conquered another game, a long day, a job well done, and the final work call, we're your place. Come as you are and fit in comfortably. Mr. Mice, eat locally, enjoy casual.
So you were just telling me in the break, Tyler, that you sort of felt like that last shot call from Rachel Homan was professional, was the smart thing to do. Maybe for the people at home who are saying, well, you just give up a steal there. What's the point of that? Maybe walk us through that. Why was that such a professional decision there for Rachel Homan?
Well, first, you're drawing against multiple points, and it's not quite the draw to the button path. You have to go side of the 4-foot side of the button because of where that stone was positioned for Constantini. Any tap that you would have played on that stone on the button would have got awfully close to the guard in order to get shot anyways. You can't give up a 3, and there's a pretty good margin for error with the shot she played, where if you're anywhere inside, even redirecting, you could get a bonus and score 1. But as long as you're inside nose, you're never giving up more than 1 point. So she had a lot of margin for error on a shot. She could play enough weight that it kind of takes the ice out of it a little bit. And again, it is a tricky track because it's on that, the ones that we've talked about all through the season with the slams, that, inside the middle of the 8-foot to pretty much the edge of the button early in the game. They're tracks that you don't play as much in the pregame practice, so they tend to snap up, lose speed. So that was just a really well thrown and well thought out shot from Rachel, where she gave herself a pretty wide net, where the worst case scenario is probably just giving up a single.
And give up a single she did. So as we said, Stefania Constantini, one of the 2 teams to get a win against Rachel Homan this year. And I don't know if that'll play into Rachel's mind at all. She's a pretty steely competitor, but a good start for them for sure, 1-0.
My co-commentator from last night, Miss Chelsea Carey, might be about to have a very good start to her morning as she's got an open hit for 4.
Yeah, we have all the other games here on the Home Team Network this morning. This is the only game that's being commentated and with player audio, but you have Sung-Yoon Ha facing off against Carrie Anerson. Carrie Anerson also sitting at 2-0 and could lock up a playoff spot with a win over the young South Korean upstarts. Chelsea Carey is playing Eunjung Kim, and directly in front of us, Isabella Vrano is up against Christina Black. So you can catch the streams of all those games on the Home Team Network. And we'll also keep you updated on the scores as we go here.
We tend to update you on the players that have joined us in the broadcast booth when they're doing well.
That's right.
Following their appearances here, because we call it the broadcast bump.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like Chelsea's about to make good use of hers. There is the 4.
Yeah, great start for Chelsea Carey. They've started 0-2, so they need to have their next 2 wins.
Oh, she knew what to do. She came right up here to the booth and turned things around immediately.
Yep, very smart. Yeah, for Isabella Verano, she's 1-1, but she's joining us in the booth tonight, and that might be too late.
Yeah,
that might be too late.
It's really rolling the dice.
Yeah.
That late an appearance. That freeze attempt.
Yeah, a little
from
short.
Mathis, a little short again, but
yeah, lying 1-2-4, still not in bad shape.
Yeah, good chance for Rachel to set up a multiple point end here, though. No danger.
Do you like down normal?
Yeah, like I was thinking rolling to like 8-7.
Whichever way you know better.
Down normal.
So hit and roll called here for Emma Miskew, longtime third for Rachel Homan, now playing second, and has really turned into one of, if not the best, seconds in the world.
Yep. Down normal. Yep. Oh, curl.
Yeah, what a nice treat as a team to say, well, we'll take one of the top thirds in the world. She's going to slide to second.
How about
Look at
that? Oh, my
Unbelievable.
goodness. What a shot from Emma Miskew. That is dead on. Not only makes the hit and roll, but gets the double. And now Rachel Homan all of a sudden lying 2.
Yeah, let's add one of the top skips in the world at third and take one of the top thirds in the world, have her play second. Embarrassment of riches.
Qua si apre, fidati.
Yeah, that is completely buried too. So now Constantini having to play the run, or at least peel the guard to open things up.
And that will not come close to that. Does get rid of their own back yellow as well. And so now, pretty good setup here for Rachel Homan. Rachel Homan in the same boat as Carrie Anerson. A win here would guarantee them a playoff spot. And for Constantini, they're playing for their lives. So, you know, both teams want this one.
Line's tight.
No, I think a little light.
1.5. Line's okay. Wait only. 1.5. Curl, Tracy.
Just a corner guard here now for Emma Miskew.
2.
Oh, that was almost a burn drop from Tracy Fleury.
It's wide open.
They're just trying to make Constantini waste a few more stones playing the peel. Might have some room around the outside here, but
yeah, not enough, I don't think.
Maybe not enough to
Or
play.
it'd be risky. You'd be looking at giving up 3 if you don't make it, I think.
Yeah, I think it'd be one where you're playing it with peel weight. If it gets the guard, it gets the guard. But
just a straight peel there for Zardini Lacidelli.
talk about a team with a bright future too. I mean, we've been discussing, you know, Constantini's season, you know, their results on tour with qualifying in 5 events, not getting out of the quarterfinals. But I mean, this team should be years from their peak, and anything that they do from here until, I would say, the 2030 games is kind of a bonus. It's just that it's an accelerated process now with Stefania's success in the mixed doubles, which has put her in the spotlight. And obviously the fact that the Olympic Games are in their backyard in 2026. So you have that home ice advantage. We already know that they're an elite level team. Anything can happen already this soon, and they still have another year plus to prepare for the games too. So where they're going to be in 26 compared to right now is probably going to be night and day.
Yeah, no question about it. And still some more major events too to prep, not just these slams, but you know, they'll be in the World Championships this year, next year's European Championships. So Yeah, they're definitely a team on the rise, and I think, you know, one thing that has really worked for them is Stefania's gold medal in 2022 in the mixed doubles discipline with Amos. Gold medals tend to make your sport federation pay notice and pay money, and so I think that is also
at least the notice part.
Favor. Yeah, at minimum the notice part. That's for sure. But yeah, they've done well to really surround Stefania with great players too. You know, I think when she played in that 2022 Olympics, wasn't really a name that was familiar to people. You know, we knew Amos a little bit, but even then, you know, Retornaz's success has all come after 2022. And just the way that they went through that field undefeated, you know, I think it made a lot of people pay attention, but you still need a team around you. And what they've done, grabbing these 4 players to play with Stefania, it's been very impressive. So the chase here for Julia, and whoa, unfortunately, hits that corner guard, which almost takes out Angela Romay at the feet.
Yeah, they played an aggressive broom at that one, knowing they had to get one or the other. They thought they could maybe clear one of the reds if they get by. And speaking to your comment about Constantini coming out of nowhere for the doubles, when we did the pre-Olympics analysis for NBC, they had myself, Kevin Martin, and Jamie Sinclair from the U.S. come in and talk about the teams going into the men's, women's, and mixed doubles, who the favorites would be, what our expectations were. So they had background going into the event. That was not a team that we mentioned as a medal contender for mixed doubles.
No.
They just kept winning. Made us look pretty dumb because they didn't lose a game in the tournament. It was really a remarkable run. But yeah, that was when we sat down for the roundtable before the game started. They were kind of an afterthought. Also ran, which is why the sport is great. You know, that's a team like that can come out of nowhere, really, with regard to their resume to that point.
So I'd assume now that we're on to skip stones, they're going to be trying to run this back.
Yeah, it's just kind of gone according to plan ever since Emma made the hit and roll underneath and the double as a bonus. They didn't even have to hit anything in the open because they were already sitting 2. So that was what was so great about that shot, is you accomplished both goals in one. Now you can just continue to guard the rest of the end, and you're guarding 2 and playing for 3 the entire end if they can't move those stones.
Yeah, Stefania will only have 2 more shots at it. This is her first. Trying the run back. And how about that?
That'll do.
Lovely shot from Stefania Constantini. Straight back, and not only makes it, Tyler, but plants it behind the corner guard. Rachel has no way of getting at it.
That's infuriating for your opponent, that you play the entire end perfectly to set up a 3. They have 1 crack on the run back to kill your end, because if she doesn't make that, Rachel's throwing the opposite side probably and taking an automatic. She may guard again, actually, and play for, that's probably a shot for 3. And then you stick the run, and now all of a sudden you got to try to find a skips deuce out of it.
Yeah, tremendous shot there from Stefania. She's come to play here this morning. Rachel Homan draw around everything here to try to set up that skips deuce that my partner's talking about.
That skips deuce referring to trying to score 2 points with your last 2 shots. They have no other rocks in the house. That's a good way to try. Buries behind the stone in the top of the 12-foot. What a draw from Rachel. Both these teams, too, John, they're very similar in their demeanor. You know, how they very rarely are screaming at the top of their lungs for a sweep or panicking on weight calls, line calls, anything like that. They're very paced, focused. They save the big yells and screams for when they really need it. You would almost say Stefania and Rachel look disinterested at times just with their demeanor, but it's just that calm focus that they have, and it comes from confidence.
My favorite thing I've kind of noticed is when Rachel's calling line on her own shots, she has a magic word she can say where the sweepers will listen to her over Tracy every time, and that word is stop. So, you know, you might hear whoa, you might hear off, but if Rachel says stop.
Oh, the boss is here.
Exactly, exactly. The order has come from on high.
Yeah, and that's so important, though. I mean, we laugh about it, but you need to have cues like that when it's necessary. You know, to have another octave when you're calling sweeps to get that little extra out of your sweepers. So you're not doing it the entire game. Or when you need to lay down the law, you know, right now we need you off or on this stone. There has to be a cue for that.
Absolutely. So for Stefania Constantini with her last, it's a follow down onto the Rachel Homan stone. This looks like it might be just a touch heavy. And indeed, it just doesn't quite catch that curl they were hoping for. And so Rachel Homan will have an open hit for 2.
And that's top level stuff from Rachel. That's obviously the momentum swung back with that run back by Constantini, but Rachel just makes the perfect come around draw, sets up a chance for 2, gets the little half miss from Stefania, and it's a hack waiter for 2.
I'll keep it there. I think splitting's a little bit too much for a hack. Okay. You think so? I think that's real close.
Final stone, Rachel Homan looking for a skip's deuce.
Hard if you're light. Really hard if you're light.
Sarah Wilkes on this right out of the hand, trying to hold it.
Still looks okay for now.
Trying to hold it. What a sweep from Sarah Wilkes from tip to tail. They make that open hit. Rachel Homan scores 2. Constantini will have the hammer for the first time in the 3rd.
When it comes to the game we love, having the right gear makes all the difference.
Goldline's new curling shoes and brooms are a game changer.
The shoes, unbelievably comfortable.
And the brooms, lightweight and effective, giving you control on every sweep.
When I step onto the ice, I'm not just prepared, I look sharp.
Have you seen these shoes? They are a game changer.
And the brooms, light as a feather.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And is the choice of champions.
We are back, and Rachel Homan making a phenomenal shot on her first, and then follows that up with the open hit. Great sweep from Sarah Wilkes to secure her 2. Homan now leads 2-1, and the teams kind of took a little de facto end break there. Sometimes both teams just sort of agree, yeah, let's take a second here. Rachel Homan, I think, sprinted off to the bathroom, so Tracy Fleury in the house now, and you know, we talk about the Italian lineup changes, Tyler. We haven't even had a chance yet to discuss what is maybe a potentially huge development here for Team Rachel Homan, as behind the bench for yesterday's game and now today's game is Jennifer Jones. And there hasn't been any word yet on whether that's an official appointment as coach or not, but regardless, Jennifer Jones behind the bench for Rachel Homan. And if that is a permanent change, I mean, what a team up.
Well, anytime you can get Brent Lang's wife as your coach, I mean, you have to make that move. By osmosis, she's got to know something about the game, you know. No, it's a shocking development, really. I applaud Rachel for, you know, having the willingness to take on a rival as your leader, your coach. You know, Rachel's been looking for quite a while now, and they're very specific about their needs, what they want from a coach, and there are very few people on the planet, I feel, that Rachel could look at the bench and say this person can bring something that helps our team above what we already know. Now, the best teams really aren't taking that much when it comes to game calling strategy, things like that, from their coach. It's just filling in the little gaps where necessary, or if there's a big moment during the game, reinforcing what you're already talking about. And for Rachel, obviously, that's the case. But, man, if somebody's going to bring something extra to the table, I mean, the all-time great is probably a good way to go. And, yeah, looking back at the bench and seeing Jen there, any team, men's, women's, mixed doubles, doesn't matter. You're going to feel like you have somebody that is going to help your squad in any way that you need.
Yeah, and I think that's right. And I think, you know, we talk about curlers, you know, there being a great camaraderie amongst curlers, and everybody gets along and it's all kumbaya. But, you know, I think when it comes to Rachel and Jen, you know, those are rivals. Those are longtime rivals. And not that there is obviously any, like, dislike there or anything, but just, you know, you've played so many heated battles against someone. You don't often see a team up like that. You don't generally see a coach that used to be such a passionate rival. And so, yeah, it's certainly very interesting, and I agree with you. I mean, you know,
it's very Rocky 3-esque, actually.
It could be, yes, exactly. This is sort of an Apollo Creed, Rocky Balboa team-up. That's a very, very good way of saying it. And, yeah, we'll see if they can take out Thunderlips and Clubber Lang here.
See, now you're speaking my language. I'm so glad I got to bring Rocky up. If you haven't noticed by now from watching the Slams this season, the pop culture references with this broadcast combo are going to be a much higher ratio than the rest of the groupings.
Yeah, and much dumber as well.
Oh, we're not afraid to be dumb. Yeah, I mean, we could go on for hours about, you know, what Jen brings to the table for this squad. But again, I applaud Rachel for the willingness to take on.
And Jen, too, for that matter. You know, I think it could be very easy for Jen to say, well, no, you know, we had too many games against each other, and I'm not interested in helping you, you know, but yeah.
Double there from Emma.
Really
Again,
good.
She's on her game early.
Yeah, no question. It was an interesting start for Constantini, drawing the wing, and then it kind of paid off when Sarah Wilkes couldn't bury her second stone, but that's a phenomenal double by Emma Miskew.
It's really not fair. I mean, you take the best team in the world, and they're already beating the tar out of everybody on tour this season, but they have no coach. You say, well, who cares? You know, they're winning like crazy. And then you bring in Jennifer Jones as the coach, and why not? Sure.
Well, and it's a last minute move too, right? I mean, Brendan Botcher started the year as their coach, which I thought was a great appointment as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Brendan thinks the game better than almost anybody, and I think has the type of demeanor that you could imagine working well with Rachel and her team. And then, of course, Brendan got the offer he couldn't refuse from Brad Guju, and, you know, got himself back into the four-person game, could no longer make the commitment to Rachel Homan. So now you're not only talking about bringing in a coach, but trying to bring someone in mid-season, which is never easy. And again, we don't know if this is permanent. It hasn't been announced yet, you know, whether or not this is a full-time change. But speaking as though it is, you know, it's definitely something where, you know, it couldn't have been easy for Rachel to try to find someone new. And yeah, just Jen being willing to step up is awesome, and I think a lot of fans were pretty excited hearing about it yesterday. So that, unfortunately for Emma Miskew, does not get around the guard, and now I think we're going to see Constantini chase a blank here, trying to double these two guards and skinny on through.
I don't think Constantini would have any trouble just trading this one out, and looks like that may be the case. They do have a corner now as well if they try to get a cheap two later in the end, but looking, as we say, blankish for this end.
That is how I look when you make some of your pop culture references. Blankish.
Yeah, I wish I'd do stuff that actually mattered.
I know, right? You make some obscure reference and you go, geez, how did I for sure pushed out something I learned in school to put that thing in my brain. And It's a hit and roll away. So Constantini could ignore this and come around that corner guard, but
I think you're still just trading out here.
yeah, with it being an odd end too, right? I think Constantini probably okay to take the hammer to the fourth.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's good that it's an odd end, but it's not something you're playing to. It's just that now the opportunity's presented itself to play the blank. It's still very early to think odd end, even end for them, but I think mostly you're playing against Homan, a team that you want to shorten the game against, and that goes for any team in the world. If it was Tirinzoni out there playing against Homan, I would still say they're probably trying to shorten the game, and that's the number 2 ranked team in the world. So any chance you get to just clear an end out, shorten the game up, try to create a smaller margin of error for the number 1 ranked team in the world, that's a good opportunity.
So with the rollout, Team Homan just sort of deciding what to do. Rachel asked if they wanted to draw around the corner guard. I don't love that, especially when you're in the lead. So I think they're just going to draw open side here.
Yeah, I don't think Rachel's fallen into the trap of drawing underneath the corner guard at this point. You might think about it on Rachel's first. Obviously, she would do it on her last to try to force. You just don't want to get yourself into trouble and give up a cheap 2 playing around going under that corner. So a smart shot drawing away from it.
Okay, good sweep, guys. I'm just going to finish it.
Rachel getting a couple reps in just to stay loose.
Yeah, nice draw weight from Tracy Fleury right on the tee.
I was trying to think of if this happened with Jen taking on the coaching role with Rachel. If this happened in any other sport where there was no announcement of the greatest player resume-wise of all time joining the most dominant team in the world in a coaching position, and they just showed up, the camera went to the bench and hey, wait a second, is that Michael Jordan on the bench coaching the Celtics? You know,
is this full time? Is this permanent? is this the permanent move, or is he just doing this game?
Yeah.
Straight through.
Did he just wander in there and they didn't have the guts to tell him no?
So that's a roll to the wing for Giulia Zardini-Lacciadelli, and I do think, further to your point, Tyler, we're probably going to see them trade out hits and probably get close to a blank.
Whoa, yeah.
The only thing is for Stefania, just cannot roll out on this hit. That would give Rachel the chance to draw around the corner and force.
Yeah, both teams able to bank a little time here too.
And for Constantini, that's been an issue. Both of the games I have done, I believe in the first game, Stefania threw with about 8 seconds left on the clock. And in the game yesterday, she threw her final stone with roughly 30 seconds left on the clock. So, yeah, they definitely like to take their time, and they're not afraid to take timeouts early either. They tend not to bank one if the situation arises where they need to take 2 before the 8th. So, yeah, this is a good situation for them for sure. Like you said, shorten the game a little bit against the world number 1 and maybe get to bank some time too.
Yeah, it's kind of the football equivalent, American football equivalent of running the football, running the clock, just shortening the game up as much as you can. And again, that is nothing to do with Constantini. Any team in the world would take the opportunity to shorten the game against Rachel.
Is that light? 9-2. Okay.
So Constantini does not roll out. That would have been the only thing that probably changed the complexion of this end. I think Rachel can afford to be aggressive for the roll here, though.
Just a little bit more.
We have seen Rachel make shots like this. The crosshouse roll behind the guard. Try to get a force out of Constantini. Final stone for Rachel Homan.
No.
Yeah, Rachel have an aggressive go at trying to roll across now, too.
It's aggressive, all right, and just a little bit too aggressive, so that will go out of the rings. I like going for it, though, if you're Rachel.
Yeah, at this level of curling, John, you're assuming that your opponent is going to make the blank shot where, they're hitting and rolling out on purpose. So the only way you're changing that shot is to get the roll underneath. So rolling out and sticking, you don't feel like there's a huge difference between those two things. And yes, we've seen some blank shots flash this week. We saw one yesterday with Matt Nunstone. We've seen some blanks nosed, and you had one with John Schuster last night.
Yep.
But the vast majority of the time, they're going to make that shot.
So a blank it is. We'll throw some zeros on the board. Constantini will have the hammer in 4 when we come back.
There's a place where the world's best curling not only lives, it rocks. Download the new Grand Slam of Curling app and live stream all the action. Get exclusive content, stats, merch, and more. Let's rock.
So we are back. A blank end for Stefania Constantini in the 3rd. Maintains the hammer here into the 4th end. And it's been a pretty solid game from both teams here, Tyler, has to be said. A simple game, I think, for the most part, but the team's doing what they're supposed to. It's been a well-played game and a close game, 2-1, Rachel Homan leading.
Now we might see another immediate hit here from Stefania to another end that they can just run out. But they are going to play the corner guard, so going to go after their 2 this end, and that's not a dangerous stone, but we really, on this shot selection, you were going to find out exactly how much Stefania wanted to shorten the game, because they could have hit that stone and probably tried to play it out for a blank. But it's not a dangerous stone, so it's a good opportunity to play more aggressively in this situation.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you're just not going to get that many mistakes out of Sarah Wilkes, right? And again, when we say the word mistake, that's not like a massive mistake, although putting this corner guard in the house is maybe in that category. But yeah, I think ultimately I like throwing the corner guard because you're just not going to have Sarah, with rock placement that, not as precise as they would want too often. So unfortunately for Angela Romay, though, that slides in the house.
Yeah, so now this has already turned into a blank end attempt for Constantini.
If this one stays on the rings.
That's got to stay too. And no, so, but be interesting to see. They do go back to the corner. 4th shot of the end, so with 5 rock free guard zone rule, Homan cannot peel that stone, so this should end up being a relatively wide open end still. And that's a good situation, John, for Constantini, where they can play for the 2 but still have a chance to get out of the end. And they're not chasing Homan. There's nothing they have to remove from play in order to make the corner guards useful, as they just have a stone in the top of the 12-foot.
So the corner guard up there for Angela Romay, no mistake made. And, Tyler, you and I were talking in the break. We have definitely focused quite a bit on the off-ice stuff and not necessarily what's been happening in the game so far. But, really, again, to your point earlier, when something happens like Jennifer Jones on the bench for Rachel Homan, you got the Constantini sort of lineup changes coming off of the Europeans. There's just so many fascinating storylines around this game. It's hard not to talk about it.
Yeah, we're getting updates as we go, too, we have some insiders in the curling world, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's
check
not
and
like...
see if we can mention some of it on the air, too.
Well, the source that you just got a text message from corroborates the source that I have also gotten information from.
That's good.
Who has said yes, that this is a bit of a trial balloon, if as it were. That there's nothing official, but it was just a case of, we know Jennifer Jones is going to be taking over in the booth for Sportsnet the rest of the week, and so this is a case where you get where you get 2 games with Jennifer Jones watching, then she'll go into the booth for the rest of the week. So again, it's not even a pressure of a whole event, and we got to try to figure this out. 2 games behind the bench and see how it goes, and then maybe we can expect some sort of announcement one way or the other after the national is completed. We are certainly now heading for a potential blank.
Yeah, and you don't mind this at all for Team Constantini. Obviously, they're going to have to score a 2 at some point or get a steal with being down by a point. Had Iraq bounce off the boards and touch one that was still in play, so they're just trying to figure out where it goes back to.
More or less here.
That annoying stone that seems like it won't be important.
2 più.
Team Constantini still going to a corner guard here too. Second stone.
Vai.
Almost certain Homan will play the peel once again, but I would assume this will be the last corner they throw and then just be choosing different spots to draw to, what track they want Tracy Fleury and Rachel Homan playing on the hits upcoming.
So we'll take this opportunity to update you on the other games here at the Mary Brown Center on this fine St. John's morning. We have Team Haw and Team Anerson tied 1-1. They're playing the third. Team Haw with the hammer. Right beside them, Chelsea Carey has made good on her early advantage, forcing Team Unjung Kim to 1 in the second end. They lead 4-1, although I believe a score update's upcoming from their third end, so I'll get that to you in a second. It was another single for Chelsea Carey, so Carey's leading that one 5-1. And directly in front of us, Christina Black with a huge 3 in the third end. Black, the lowest ranked team in the women's field, got here by winning the Hearing Life Tier 2 Tour Challenge back in Charlottetown, and so for them, this would be a huge win. Their 0-2 would potentially put them on the path to the playoffs, but they're leading Isabella Vrona 4-1. All those games available on Home Team Network, and of course, as happens every Thursday at the Slam, we've now started our full house coverage as well, so you can watch all 4 games at the same time, have Tyler and myself and our great game up in the big box, and then the 3 games underneath, so don't miss out on that. And Tyler, an exciting moment for curling today too. I believe tonight we are going to be making history as 3 of the 4 games being played at the Grand Slam of Curling will be shown full in their entirety with player audio and commentary. Something we've never seen before. 1 game on Sportsnet, 2 games on the Home Team Network. It's an exciting time to be a curling fan.
It's fun to be on the good side of history on some stuff, be a part of this. We like to be trendsetters. We did see that peel attempt from Fleury ended up not rolling off all the way, so Constantini had Julia draw underneath the corner and tuck a good piece, but plenty of distance for Fleury to dig that out. A little surprising here that Constantini's going to try to draw under that corner again. It's hard to get shot rock and bury, and the guard is relatively high too. So John, this is a matter of we have a wide open look to try to get to, even though it's not a great one. We're going to do it because there's no danger. But I'm still surprised they're not hitting the back and just playing this end out for the blank. There's a pretty good chance you could get yourself forced playing this. I don't know that there's a spot they could draw to. That's about as good as Julia can do it, where Rachel can't dig that stone out still. So you're kind of hoping for, if she does make it, that it noses, and then you can draw with backing. But again, the blank was pretty much there.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think in a situation like this, you would normally see a call like this if you're worried that your opposition will do it. And with where that corner guard is, there's no way Rachel Homan was ever going to be
Zero
drawing
chance
around it.
if you know is the back one. If you roll out, obviously, she may on her last. But she's not even playing that on her first shot.
Just an 11 then? Up to speed here? Yeah. Go hard. I'd say it's light. Whoa!
Take a little time to get off the center line, but once they do, they go hard. The finish is big on this line, and no problem clearing the stone.
Yeah, strange call for Constantini. Have to say it. It just.
And now you're
forced.
You're trapped into doing it, so you have to follow.
Yeah, you're probably forced. Maybe a skip's deuce here, but you're gonna have to make this really good and hope for a Rachel Homan miss, which those don't come around too often.
And let's be clear on the call too, John. If that guard is even a foot and a half closer to the center line, then I don't mind the call at all, because you have a pretty good chance of ducking something underneath for shot rock that they can't get to. But where that guard is located, you saw Julia made that shot pretty much as good as she could make it, and Rachel got there easy to clear that stone. So now you're hoping that you make your draw around it. They don't want to go all the way to it for a freeze, as they don't want Rachel to be able to follow too. But you're going to need a miss to get your two, which you wouldn't have needed if the corner was closer to the center. So yeah, it's only a surprising move because of where the corner guard was located, not that they played the shot at all.
So we'll see if Stefania Constantini can take a step towards a skip's deuce here. Needs a really good freeze. This looks heavy.
Yeah, I don't know why they were sweeping that. That was dead perfect. Still,
yeah, really good, actually.
Very good, but
yeah,
they could have let that die
yep.
short of the stone and been on a better spot. Rachel is pretty much forced into, unless she has all. We'll see from the long view. It does look like she's got the whole stone, so she can clear this.
Yeah, if we know one thing about Rachel Homan, it's that she's never afraid to take on any hit.
Well, this is all the more reason why the shot selection Constantini was surprising, because look where that stone ended up. If you
almost
don't know,
perfect.
Yeah, if you don't know the guard is that wide, you'd say, well, yeah, she made the shot. It's perfect. But Rachel still has the whole thing because that corner is so wide.
Nose to go over the top. That looks like good. I think it'll curl that much. Like half off. That looks good. Okay. Straight through and hard.
Straight through and hard, the call from Rachel Homan, and we know she has that. And that's hard for sure. Trying to make this Yellowstone disappear. You got to get by the corner. They're by. Now do they have the yellow over the top? Yes, they do. How about that from Rachel Homan? Makes those shots look so easy.
Yeah, that's so good. And she had to sweep, not to get by the guard, but to not be so thin on the jam that it double jammed into the other back red stone. But hit it thick enough, it went over the top. You're just not going to see mistakes on those types of shots from Team Homan. So now it's a forced draw against 2 for Constantini.
Meno, Julie. Ancora meno.
So you just need a little bit better than 12 foot if you're Stefania Constantini here to score the one. Final stone here in the fourth end, final stone of the first half.
È dritta? Non ha girato, non sta girando niente. È lì, buono. Sola, 14-2.
And that will come to rest in the 8 foot, so that will be a single point for Stefania Constantini. Rachel Homan will have the hammer in the 5th end. We're going to take a 3-minute break. We'll see you back here soon.
This is the Cornwall Curling Club. It's my home club. I started curling here when I was 7 years old. I decided to stick with curling because I really enjoyed the small team environment. I curled with the same girls from the time I was 9, basically until the end of juniors. So getting to form those friendships with my teammates was really special to me.
I started curling because of my grandparents, and both my parents curled and my brother, so it was just like a whole family thing. And when you walk into the curling club in Truro, Nova Scotia, and everyone greets you, and it's such a warm environment, and it's fun. After school, we'd go, and all of our friends would be there, so it was just like such a fun environment. And I got to curl with some of my closest friends growing up, so it really helped me keep in the game, and we all had the same goals.
I know what curling has done for our family, the opportunities it provided for both my girls. Nationally, you know, we've got to travel the world. It's just a great sport. It's a small community. People, you know, at all levels, everybody knows each other. It's kind of a unique sport that way.
It's a sport that enables him to build his confidence and to make friends while doing something that he really enjoys.
Right now, at the age that they're at, it's just awesome to see when they come here and they see their friends at the curling club and the stuff they do off the ice too, and smiles and hanging out and just enjoying their time with friends.
Hello, curling fans. Welcome back inside the Mary Brown Center here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador for this Draw 9 matchup between Rachel Homan and Stefania Constantini. Rachel Homan searching for her 3rd win and a playoff spot. Stefania Constantini sitting at 0-2, trying to stay alive. John Cullen alongside Tyler George here with you on the Home Team Network. And Tyler, we talked about it in the 4th end, but just a little bit of strange, maybe, strategy from Stefania Constantini, almost seeming like she was okay taking one there. It was a very, very low, it was like not a high risk, it was sort of a low risk, low reward situation for Stefania Constantini. Ends up settling for the one, a little puzzling.
Yeah, the blank was always there, and I'm a proponent of going for your 2 when you get the opportunity without risk. Almost every time. That corner guard just was not in a position that you were going to be able to do it. There wasn't a spot they could throw it where Rachel couldn't make the dig and take that rock out. And it really wasn't that difficult a shot either for Rachel with how high the guard was and how far out it was. So under different circumstances, better corner guard, yes, absolutely. Take your chance at 2 when you don't have any threat of a steal. But in that situation, it just wasn't there. You were never going to get 2 in that shot in that situation without a fairly significant miss from Homan. So I think Rachel is very happy to see them go around that corner and then get force.
So you heard Rachel ask Sarah what rock she's throwing, so there must be a rock they don't love for some reason. We have seen Sarah miss a couple times too, and we talked about, you know, that's uncharacteristic for her, so I do maybe wonder if that's indication that it's more of a rock thing. Have to make sure you get off this center guard. You can't move it from the center. And indeed they do. Now will Rachel be able to finish it around that corner? It's pretty darn good from Sarah Wilkes.
Yep, almost completely buried. You can probably see just a sliver from the hack. Really good shot from Sarah.
Occhio. Sì. 8-9. Sì. 9. Oh. 9, sì. 9. Sì. Meno. Oh. 9. Oh. Meno. Meno. Julie.
Always dangerous here again without hammer to be drawing, chasing under the corner guard. There's such a small spot you can throw it where it helps. That is not one of them.
I was going to say, that's that ain't it, Chief. Unfortunate there for Elena Mathis, just a little heavy.
I almost think you
slide into the open. Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah, no, I just saying, I think you almost prefer just going under center again there. And I know there's a possible double that Homan would have back, but again, there's just so few spots you can throw that freeze to help. And even if you make it perfectly, you're freezing on a rock in the 8 foot. It's not really that effective.
And bringing the play around the corner too, when you don't have the hammer. It's just early for that, in my opinion. That's not a terrible shot maybe later in the end when you're trying to maybe put a force together, but on your second's first stone, you don't generally see a chase around the corner guard. And that's pretty much a perfect hit and roll made by Emma Miskew, and now it's Rachel Homan lying 2 behind each of the guards.
And smart to overbury on the roll to go behind the other yellow, staying away from being under the center guard, where then a freeze by Constantini would bring a force or steal into play. Timeout called by Constantini.
Like I said, they're not afraid to take a timeout early. And so we'll see Soren Gran come out here, the coach of Stefania Constantini. They keep asking for a timeout, and it hasn't happened. There we go. We'll also see another thing Soren likes to do is stay well past the time that the timeout ends. So we'll see. We'll see. Rachel Homan might be one of the only teams that would call them on that. So we'll see. But
Però poi scappa con lo shooter. Provare a fare il chase dall'esterno. Sì, per aprire la doppia. Try again. Yeah, and what about the run? Even if we just peel, then we have this. Yeah, I'm okay, but if we do, the margin is really.
The only good thing here is that the yellow is behind you. The red is behind you, so we can still work.
I like the run.
If we don't do the peel, we have to play it all the way to tough shots and goals and crazy.
What do you mean if we don't do the peel? I think I like the run back as well. Piuttosto però per tenere lo shooter, cioè anche se facciamo questo non è male.
Soren leaving early, maybe because Stefania Constantini ignored his advice. So Soren was saying he liked the freeze again around the corner. Stefania, though, preferring the run back. Tyler, do you have a preference here?
I like the draw. I mean, it's a good situation with where the rocks are situated to go on the offensive. You've got a good center guard up. You have a rock in the top of the 8-foot you can use. The red could play into a jam. There's a pretty decent area that you could throw it and get a good result, but they're going more on the defensive side, playing the run. And that was the idea. They wanted to try to get a second center out of it too, so they didn't overthrow the run. Great shot. Great
really
execution.
nice.
Just, I felt like they had more margin for error and more good results playing the draw there, but they made the tougher shot and got a very good result out of it. Now Homan is kind of forced into playing the draw to the center. And again, you have 2 yellow centers and a usable stone in the top of the 8-foot, so it's not a bad setup for Constantini right now.
So early call is it's a little heavy out of the hand from Emma Miskew.
Still? Yes.
9 would be back 8, which they certainly don't want it there.
Hold on. It's back line.
And indeed, it is a 9.
Keep it open and backing.
So when you make that shot, if you're Elena Mathis and Stefania Constantini, that's what you're hoping happens right after. As that's a little mistake from Emma Miskew, and it opens the door for Team Constantini.
A good situation to try to get a steal now for Stefania.
Linea, sì. Linea buona. Linea buona. Linea 8. Linea buona. 8. Aspetta. Sì. 6, 8, no. No. Angie.
Angela Romay trying to bring this one over here for Zardini Laccidelli. This looks really good. Needs it to stop a bit. That's, yeah, pretty good.
Does look to be shot rock, too. There is a slash in if Rachel decides to play it. Probably not yet. We'll listen in what she's thinking.
Okay.
She's thinking throw it hard.
Yeah. Intern? Yep. Just touch this one? Yeah.
Good talk.
Yep.
Throw peel and throw it at my broom.
Yep. Yeah, you heard Tracy say they may not get rid of both of them, but even if you can push, you get rid of one of them and push the other one off to the corner, that'll work just as well.
No. Curl. Gotta curl it. Hard, you gotta move it.
Look
at
that ended up being
That'll do.
unbelievable.
There's a lot of rocks. Yeah, we would have drilled that.
I don't think.
Oh, maybe can we get a replay?
I don't know.
Okay, I think they figured it out. I was
Yeah.
gonna yell. I was gonna yell down. I don't care.
Or wave or something.
Yeah.
Throw something at them.
But yeah, no, it didn't touch. Head official Pierre Charette is right behind the sheet too, so he maybe gave some indication that it didn't touch. So really good shot from Tracy Fleury. I mean, you could never call that, but somehow getting that yellow stone out of the 4-foot and lying 2 here. Unbelievable throw. And how about that for a shot back? Really nice from Julia Zardini.
Second touch was unfortunate
Yeah,
as
unlucky.
it set up the double now
Yeah.
for Homan. And now, John, this is a good risk-reward situation for Rachel where, yes, you're going to be behind the tee. Yes, you're going to be behind the center, kind of. But you're sitting 3. So you're really putting pressure on Constantini with a chance to put up a crooked number. Very little conversation right now with Team Homan, too. It's just business as usual for Rachel. All in the shots, put the broom down.
Yep. Whoa.
Yeah, I think that's one aspect of Rachel's game that maybe gets overlooked a little bit. We know so much about the shot making, but she's also such a good game manager, and the team has full faith in her. Well, that'll work too.
Good shot.
Hit and rolled a dead freeze for Tracy Fleury, but yeah, just, you know, so in control, and obviously all three teammates completely bought into that as well, and it makes things easier, that's for sure. It makes for a quickly called game, and they usually end up in the right spot, and that's a great shot from Tracy Fleury. Things are starting to look a little bit sketchy if you're Stefania Constantini here. So the freeze called, and just a very quick score update for you. Eunjung Kim pulling 3 back against Chelsea Carey in the 4th end. So that game is now 5-4. Chelsea Carey with the hammer playing 5. Again, Chelsea Carey needing that win to stay alive at 0-2 right now.
Yeah, the good thing for Constantini here is they can follow. It's not buried under the center. So the freeze needs to be dead center or a hair high with where that center guard is. This is really curling.
Yeah, this is, you do not want to come up short here. This looks way short. Off the guard, and might have got a little lucky to just kind of guard that situation, but yeah, that's tricky. Not an ideal result there for Stefania Constantini.
We feel she's probably trying to hide here, right? Or she knows that.
Can I ever hit half and roll in, Trace?
I like that.
It's not there. Well,
It just feels fine. Like, this is I don't think we want to risk the jam going for that. Just straight peel. And then she noses it. But anywhere off, we should have a blast because those 2 rocks are quite a bit deeper. Like it's against a free. You like it? Use the time out.
do I have a draw rock?
The lower one, whatever it is.
Is my draw rock?
Pardon?
Lower one is my draw rock?
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting there, that even on skip stones, they're saying that they have a rock they prefer for draws for Rachel. This is not it.
I'll keep it there though, it should grow.
So the high hard one coming here again for Rachel Homan, her first in the 5th.
Girl.
And straight peel made. Yeah, it was interesting hanging out with Rachel Homan when we were in Nisku a couple weeks ago. She took me and Brendan Botcher around some of her haunts in her current hometown of Beaumont, Alberta, and was actually telling me a lot about the rock information they've been gathering. It's something they care about a lot. And even as we were, in the car driving to these places, she's getting texts and exchanging information with other teams. What do you like on this sheet? What do you not like? Whatever. So it's definitely a thing that their team thinks about a lot. And not surprised to hear that, that's something that they're managing. And maybe Rachel preferring, like you said, having a rock that maybe curls a little bit more, that they prefer for draws. I'm not surprised they get that specific with their rock information. So big final stone here for Stefania Constantini, trying to prevent giving up a big score.
Yeah, it's such a top-level call there, too, from Rachel peeling the guard. You might look at that situation and say, they're already sitting 1. They could tap that back stone out instead of pile. They could draw around the guard, and they could sit 2 buried. But if that guard is gone, Constantini doesn't really have much of anything. You're playing for a 2 minimum if you can for Constantini, and this is why you see this over-curling. So they're only playing for 2, but they almost, John, with
Very
the way
close
those
to
rocks
be-
were set up,
very close to be playing for 3 or 4.
They were almost guaranteeing 2, peeling that guard because Constantini didn't have anywhere to go.
14.5.
Yeah, she would have had to make a dead nut freeze on that red one, and even then,
If
with the
it's
amount of
staggered
weight
off the wrong way at all, then
Yeah.
it's 4.
Yeah, and you know, we know how good Rachel's upweight ability is, so even if it's dead nut frozen, I think you'd see Rachel try and blast it. So this is a draw for 2 for Rachel Homan. Well executed both from a shot making and strategy perspective here. In the 5th, needs a piece of the forefoot for 2.
That one that went back 8? Should be back 8.
So they're playing to the backing here, looks like. Heard them say back 8 out of Rachel's hand. And they won't end up needing the backing at all. That is perfect from Rachel Homan. Right on the lid. 4-2, they lead. Ho-hum, just another very well executed end from Rachel Homan in the 5th. They now lead 4-2, and Tyler, we'll see if Stefania Constantini can find their way back in here. It's been pretty much Rachel Homan in control for most of this game.
Rachel hasn't faced a lot of adversity. Constantini hasn't been able to pressure Rachel at all, but joined the club with every other team in the world,
Exactly.
basically, with that. So a big end here for Stefania. Really needs to find a 2, and you know, as our player colleagues in the booth, Carrie Anderson and Chelsea Carey, have both said, it's time to sell the farm. You got to go all out for your 2 now. If you get forced to 1, you're still in the game, but with the scoreboard the way it is, you're going to have to either score a 2 or get a steal at some point in the last 3 ends.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, something that Mike McEwen mentioned to me last night when we were calling the Bruce Mowat-John Schuster game, is that Bruce Mowat games tend to all look the same because he just isn't bothered by what the other team is trying to do, and he's such a good shot maker that he can impose his strategy on the other team. And I think we see a similar thing with Rachel Homan as well, that they have a clear game plan and the execution is so good that it doesn't really matter what your intentions are on the other side of the sheet. She's going to be able to keep the game fairly comfortable for herself, and that's what we've seen here all morning. It's like you said, anytime you can get a 4-2 lead and you haven't really had to make too many difficult shots, you're going to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, and it's a good point with Mowat's squad, too, and a lot of that has to do with how well they run. Anything you do aggressively against them, they can clear and get out of trouble fairly easily. So the games do look very similar. I think Brad Jacobs does a lot of the same type of stuff where they're able to clear as well as they do. So they allow teams to do whatever they want, basically, for the lead stones, maybe second stones, but they're always going to be able to get out of any trouble if they're in it. And there's not going to be a ton of rocks in play usually in those games.
Yeah, and as we know, Rachel's so similar. Everyone in their lineup can throw the big weight so well.
What do you have? What rock?
Maybe we can get Brent to
I don't know what you're holding.
get some pictures of Jen's book, what she's writing down about observations about Rachel. I'd be so fascinated to know. Maybe Jen will just tell us too, but I'd be fascinated to see what her observations are from watching Rachel play. You know, the greats watching the greats, and here's the pointers I have for you. You know,
Yeah.
like what would it be?
Totally.
What do you tell the most dominant team in the world? You know.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Got room. Curl if you're heavy. Needs to curl. Needs to curl. You're wide open. 3-4. Gotta finish it. 3-4. Wide open there. Well, leave it. Don't give him a hit and roll.
So just a hair light there for Emma Miskew.
Yeah, better to leave it wide open. And you heard Rachel say, don't leave them to hit and roll. So what she's calling is don't let it over curl so that they can hit, roll under the corner, and not jam.
8,5, 3/4. L'importante è tenere lo shooter. 8,5.
John looking like the double peel maybe and try to roll to a corner.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not a great situation in the middle for Team Constantini right now, even though you don't necessarily want to be playing super defensive down two. I think this is probably a shot you'd like to make here, and that's well done by Elena Mathis. Maybe doesn't quite get the roll, but gets rid of two guards.
Better than it was. Now it's your stone. They definitely would have liked to roll a little farther than they did, but getting rid of both reds was plan A. First objective.
So just a small tap here for Emma Miskew, and a reminder that you can pick up your 2025 Curling Cares calendar, a major project partner of the Grand Slam of Curling. Few of the athletes in this event in the 2025 calendar: Carly Burgess, Selena Negovin, and a lot of the curlers out here have been in it in the past. Over the years has raised over $850,000 for various charities, and a great cause. So head on over to curlingcares.com. Makes a great Christmas gift. Pick it up today. Great shot there from Emma Miskew.
Yeah, a little better there from Emma. It wasn't a bad result on the first, but that's exactly where they want that stone, and not incredibly important to unlock it on that shot. They would have liked to have the red go a little farther back, but they're fine with these stones where they're at right now. Hard for Constantini to find two.
Trying to jiggle these around and roll behind that corner. Doesn't quite get there, and I think this might have set up a double, Tyler.
Yeah, those two yellows might be leaving the premises fairly soon. The red,
yeah, the red might be in the way.
Off the,
yeah, might be in the way.
Path. It's still there.
Oh, I was thinking off our red. Is there a double off the red first?
Yeah, you can make it either way.
That's probably the better way to make it, actually.
It's more natural.
Yeah, I think on that overhead you can see it. You'd have to hit that yellow pretty thin to avoid hitting your red.
Yeah, this one's thin half to a third, and third's probably your best spot you hit.
Lots of time on the clock for Rachel Homan, so Tracy Fleury's just going to come down and take a look.
Hit this anywhere and it's gone. You can hit a thin quarter, it's gone. You can hit a third, it's gone.
And Tracy just wanted to see the angles for herself on that shot, and wasn't disagreeing with the call at all. And she was the one that actually said, can we play off the red? But just wanted to see exactly where the best spot is to hit it to stick both.
Quarter's probably perfect.
Yeah, it's one of those that the red into the yellow is a lot thinner than it looks to stick it exactly where you want to. So Rachel wants this as thin as possible to stick both because the red will be higher up, won't leave any kind of freeze opportunity. The thinner you hit the top one.
Got to make sure you hit it, though. Okay,
well,
so
that's
she
thin.
Yeah, gets rid of the one yellow. You heard Rachel say pretty much if you make contact with that red, you're getting rid of the yellow, and that turned out to be true as Tracy didn't make a ton of contact with that red. Does leave that yellow there, but Rachel Homan lying too.
Constantini's going to take a little deeper look at this too.
Oh, 10 run. O questo. Quello che ti piace. Forse run. Sì, 10.
Trying to figure out if they can come around and dig out the stone in the top of the forefoot. Probably can't see more than a sliver from the hack. So it looks like they're taking on the run instead. I think it's the right shot. It's kind of an all or nothing, but if you make it, you bring 2 or 3 into the picture. They're not overthrowing it. Yeah, this is over curling by a long ways.
Uh-oh.
That's going to make 2 considerably more difficult. Not the way you wanted to miss that shot.
Yeah, right by everything for Zardini Lacidelli, and Rachel Homan maybe starting to smell blood in the water here. Sarah Wilkes on this pretty much right out of the hand and does hold it on the nose.
She's had a few of those on that track today. And you just look at the squad, John, there's no weakness. I mean, they're good everywhere. And you know, you have the best sweepers, you have the best shooters, smartest game caller. I mean, there just isn't a spot where you feel like you can take advantage of that team.
And maybe one of the greatest of all time as their coach as well.
Why not?
Just for fun, you know.
Just for fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting for sure. And I think with Sarah, too, you know, a lot of people maybe not as familiar with her game before she got on this Homan team, but did win the Scotties as a third, was a long-time back-end player. And, you know, when you're third, you do sweep 4 rocks and end, as that's not a bad shot from Zardini Lacidelli. Gets rid of 2, but you know, you do sweep, but you're only sweeping 4 rocks and end. It's maybe not a part of your game you're super hyper focused on. And so for Sarah to come onto this Homan team, play front end, and really turn herself into one of the best sweepers in the world has been impressive to watch. And we're going to get a look at a Jennifer Jones timeout here. Or, oh, no, maybe she's not even coming out for the time. Oh, there we go.
Fine.
Fine.
This is quite the moment here.
Yes.
Jennifer Jones coming out for a timeout with Rachel Homan.
Just if I go here and she freezes, then we guard.
Definitely time to listen in.
Quite like then we guard.
Yeah. What do you think? Guard's not perfect. She's got rolls on both sides, but
Yeah. I don't think I like guarding. I think I either like whatever she's gonna
Give her the blank.
blank's okay here. Like even if we don't fit, like even if we're just like.
Okay, so
like try to be like almost open.
It's just got to be perfect because
Yeah.
you have to be half buried because if you're open, she has a hit and roll.
Right.
I have the same draw.
We have to
but-
suck a piece. A hit and roll's not super easy there, but you've thrown this line reach.
I think even if she makes the hit and roll reach, you can just still draw.
Yeah.
That's true too.
Yeah. Okay, like that.
You could force your or you just you're putting a guard on one. This is a pretty hard. Still by 2. If she makes this turnaround, you draw 1 by 2.
What do you
I
like?
could hit and roll in too. I've thrown this
here. I like that. Yeah.
The problem is I've got like a 2-foot window, right? Like can't be heavy, can't be light.
We know this line though, right?
I think
Let's make it.
Yeah, air on being a bit open, then the freeze is tougher.
Yeah, I like it.
And this is the one I need more.
Well, that was fun. That's by far the most I've ever seen a coach talk during a timeout for Rachel.
And
there
Rachel was
actual
receptive.
Give and take, yeah.
Yeah, Rachel was receptive.
That was a historic moment.
Yeah, totally. Talked about maybe peeling the guard. Talked about where they would maybe want to put this draw if they put, or I should say, peeling a guard, not the guard. But yeah, that was fun to watch. And as you said, I think it's not only the amount of talking, but the receptiveness to it as well. That this was the call Jen liked right from the beginning, and it's the one they end up going with.
And that's respect. That's we know what you've accomplished, and when you say something definitively, we're listening.
Totally. Well, it's similar with what I was talking about earlier with Rachel. I think when we think of Jennifer Jones, we think of the big moments, the big shots, but also, one of the best strategists ever and a phenomenal game manager, and especially a phenomenal late game manager. How many times is Jennifer Jones down or not in a great situation late in games and found a way to win? Just a really good late game strategist as well.
And that's really good.
And that's Rachel said, well, if we play the draw, we only have a 2-foot window. Well, she put it right in the 2-foot window, right in the middle of it.
You're probably going to put it in that window.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure that's what Jen was telling her. So, yeah, make it.
Yeah, perfect shot. Dead even. No doubles here for
that's so
Stefania
good.
Constantini.
There's nothing they can do with that stone. That's dead perfect.
Ma forse, secondo me idealmente sopra. Sì, sotto è ok. Sì. Freeze, altrimenti andiamo dietro. Avevo 15 questa.
I really don't even know what you can do right now. If you're Constantini, you're freezing to probably give them, to play into a force. Rachel's going to be trying to draw somewhere where Stefania doesn't have a double on her last, if Stefania makes this perfect for second count.
I'll tell you what Stefania can do. She can take a spoonful of sugar, because I hear that helps the medicine go down.
Steal a spoon from the kitchen party coming up today.
Yeah.
Good segue.
Great segue. Yeah, you won't want to miss that. Obviously, if you're anywhere in the St. John's, Newfoundland area, it's a Briar final rematch tonight between Brad Guzhu and Mike McEwen, and it is also the first ever Grand Slam of Curling kitchen party. Fans being encouraged to bring their ugly sticks, their noise makers. I'm hearing rumors that there might be some mummers in the building. It's going to be a really fun time in the building tonight. You won't want to miss it if you're in the area, but even if you're not, you'll be able to watch that game on Sportsnet in Canada and on Home Team Network in the rest of the world.
This is going around the rock in the top of the 8-foot, but needs to stop for second.
That's pretty good from Stefania Constantini. Rachel Homan is still shot, though, and
hard to tell.
Might be shot, too.
If they're two, then that rock doesn't do them any good. I think Rachel's following regardless, because that's the best spot to go to.
I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, I agree. You're throwing the shot regardless of who's second.
If we can touch it, half an inch or 1 centimeter. Same throw, touch it 1 centimeter.
To theirs? Yeah. Is this the same ice?
It's a little bit more.
So that's great of Rachel knowing we have an international audience too. So I'd like to touch it half an inch or 1 centimeter.
Ah, yes. Converting for the Canadian fans. We famously don't know what inches are here in Canada.
Too much. Yeah.
So the follow down for Rachel Homan. Would love to move that Constantini stone just a smidge. It's her last rock in 6.
This will curl a lot once it gets across the center. I don't think they need to worry about line. It's all weight now.
Boy, she makes it look real easy sometimes, doesn't she?
There's that centimeter / ½ inch. Maybe a little extra.
Yeah, no shot for 2 here for Stefania Constantini. This will be an open hit for 1. Final stone for Stefania Constantini. Hit and stick for 1.
This has got a curl.
Yeah, Angela Romay trying to bring this over. Oh no. Misses everything. That is a steal of 3 for Rachel Homan, and that might be the game. We'll see here if Constantini decides to shake. And
I've stood at the pinnacle of curling and battled in the most intense games.
Out on the ice, there's no room for compromise.
And when the pressure's on, every millimeter counts.
It's not just a game.
It's about maximizing performance,
Pushing limits.
Seizing victory.
When victory hangs in the balance,
I know what I'm relying on.
it's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
It's a gold line.
And it's the choice of champions.
well, it's a 5-point lead for Rachel Homan, and there's only 2 ends left. I have a pretty good idea about how this is going to go. How about you, Tyler?
I just enjoyed seeing Jen come out there.
Me
for
too.
That timeout
Oh, it
and
was
have
awesome.
that give and take with Rachel, and
yeah,
we know how Jen is very direct, with when she likes something, doesn't, and just said, I don't like that shot, and like this, and Rachel plays it, they make it, and they end up stealing 3. So I mean,
yeah,
results oriented business here.
It is, yeah. Yeah, well, what do you want to talk about? No, I'm just kidding. It's a 5-point lead for Rachel Homan. I'm going to guess this is probably game over. But Stefania Constantini kind of down to her last life here. So, I understand the want to keep playing. This is your only hope. They're at 0-2. A third loss means you're out in a Grand Slam event. With 16 teams, it's 1-3, and it's never going to find its way into a tiebreaker. So,
yeah, it's just kind of been a clinical game from Rachel.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing new. They didn't have to do anything spectacular. They made simple shots.
Yeah.
But when you execute, call the game, read the ice the right ways, then that's what happens. You just have to do your job, make the open hits, and place your draws well, and keep your opponent chasing. And Rachel, that last part, Rachel does that better than any team in the world as well, too. You just don't see them chasing their opponent in hardly any situations. And when you're the one playing the open shots and your opponent's playing the runs and the doubles and freezes and things like that, percentages are going to go your way in the long run.
Yeah, no question about it. So this game will be ridden out here by Rachel Homan. And she would improve to 3-0 with a win here, and that would clinch her playoff spot. A reminder as well, if you're here in person with us at the Mary Brown Center, you can head on down to the Rock Shop. The Goo Shoes exclusively available here at the Mary Brown Center this week. Brad Gujou, the first curler, I believe, to get his own signature shoe that's not a curling shoe. So they're really well made. Some great sneakers. I got my pair. TG, I know yours is coming too.
I think I'm getting mine after this game.
Yeah, beautiful. So we'll be rocking the Goo Shoes, and lots of other great gear available at the Rock Shop in person or online. Check out therockshop.net.
I feel like we should add a promo for this. This is unofficial, by the way. I'll make it up as we go. But if you buy a pair of Goo Shoes here at the arena, you can come into the booth and do one end on commentary, and you can throw out whichever one of us you prefer. So then if people don't want to hear me for an end or whatever, then just go buy a pair of shoes. You can come sit in my chair.
I think they made 200 pairs, so we might be...
we might not have to do any more commentary.
Yeah, exactly. That's a smile. I like
I
that
think we
promo.
might have to put this on the screen on a ticker.
Yeah, that's my favorite promo I've ever heard, actually. Just to be clear, you won't be paid for this.
Oh, no.
This is an unpaid...
Of course, we're not either, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. It's an unpaid one-end situation. But, yeah, very... a lot of very cool designs. There is also some other Brad Gujou and St. John specific designs. I really like the Rock shirt they've got there with Jelly Bean Row on it, and yeah, lots of great merch. So check it out, therockshop.net.
Simple shots again for Team Homan. And John, this is with the 5-point lead. It's kind of a designated deuce, we used to call it, type of end.
Yeah,
where
of course.
All you're doing is making sure your opponent doesn't have any opportunity for 3 with the 5-point lead. And that's kind of how you would operate if it was a 3-point lead
For
still,
sure.
too.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I hear what you're saying, and you're right. You wouldn't want to give up 3 in this situation, but even if you did give up 3, you're still up 2 with Hammer coming home. Very advantageous situation for Team Homan. But yeah, absolutely, they would have no trouble giving up a deuce here. And in this game, usually if you're okay conceding a deuce to your opponent, it often does never result, not never, but often doesn't result in a 3. You know, it's pretty easy to force your opposition to 2, especially when you're playing as well as Rachel Homan is playing.
Yeah, once you get to that 2-point lead or more going to the 7th end, it's varying degrees of how conservative you're playing defensively, but you're still doing it. But the difference in the shot selection is more about you're playing the straight peel instead of a run back. You're just taking away any opportunity your opponent might have to bring 3 into play. So even if it's, well, if we made the run, we could probably force them. It's, well, if we don't make the run, could they wrap around again and set up a 3rd counter? So we're not doing that. We're just playing the peel.
So nice freeze from Elena Mathis, but this is gettable for Tracy Fleury.
Yeah,
And
crossing the
get
face
it, she does.
makes it easy to pick out.
Chips it right off. Still Homan lying 1. Quick update on the other games happening out here, which of course are available on a Home Team Network or as part of the Full House coverage, where you can watch our game and the other 3 all at the same time. Team Ha leading Team Einarson. Sung-Yoon Ha made their first ever semifinals back at the Co-op Canadian Open and looking to improve to 2-1 here. They are leading Carrie Einarson 4-3, and they have the hammer. They're playing 6. Beside them, Chelsea Carey has had busted out to a 4-0 lead after the first. Unjung Kim found her way all the way back to tie it at 5, and then Chelsea Carey with a single in the 6th. So Chelsea Carey's leading that one 6-5. Kim with the hammer in 7. And right in front of us, Isabella Vrano was in control of the entire 6th end. But Christina Black made a great draw to the forefoot on her last one for a single. Black is leading that one 5-3. Vrano with the hammer, they're playing 7.
Another one of these shots, John, where there could possibly be a very thin double or hit and roll in front of that other counter, and you're really just making sure the yellow goes for Homan here.
Over curls a little bit for the double there.
È più ghiaccio? È uguale. Se vuoi di più? No, no, va bene. Dove arrivava? 5?
And as things stand right now, it's possible 2 for Constantini. They're drawing under the corner, ignoring number 1 for now, but Homan's always just hitting whatever open yellows they can.
Sì. Sì. No, 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 no. Basta. Buona. Buona. Oltre. 9.
See how deep this goes, and maybe gives another double opportunity for Homan, and one that doesn't really have any risk, John, because it's still pretty thick on the rock in the side of the 8s.
Pretty close.
Thick to stay around at least. You could definitely go over the top of it, but
It could go under. It could also touch. I think you. Yeah.
no reason not to have a go at it.
Yeah, if anybody can make this, it's Rachel Homan, that's for sure. We've already seen her big weight ability a few times in this game.
And just a little thinner than
Nothing, right?
natural double, but comfortable.
I can't hit nose. Like nose is okay, but.
First rock for Rachel Homan here in the 7th. Looking for a cross-house double. Got one. Does she have the second? How about that?
Of course she does.
Giving something for the St. John's fans to cheer about there. Rachel Homan up 5 and lying 4. It's a good gig if you can get it.
Yeah, they just make it look so easy on shots like that. And even with the sweep call, it sounded like, oh no, it's falling back. It must be too thick. No, it's just maybe a 1/4 inch thicker than where they were trying to hit it. So it's still perfectly made anyways.
Yeah, it won't be easy for Stefania Constantini to even fashion a 2 here.
Yeah, they have to freeze to the number 2 counter and hope for a miss. It's about all they have. There's nothing they can really do with number 1. Be paying attention to sheet A for the rest of this game too. With team high at 5 minutes 23 seconds, still a shot to throw in the 6th end. It's not drastically low, but they're going to be moving.
No timeouts either.
Yeah.
So it doesn't quite make the freeze, but does bury in there for second shot.
Yeah, it's pretty much completely ducked under. Really good shot.
No, I think it doesn't. It's either got to be here or here.
Okay, those are very different. I think we go.
Just I gotta be beside it. I can't.
And she can actually be higher, too, because the double would still play into a jam.
Yeah. Yeah, it just has to be second shot somewhere in the vicinity there.
Yeah, I mean, she could throw this a rock above the tee line and you're safe because you'd always have to come off of second shot in order to make the double and not just play into the jam on the yellow anyways. Really, the only thing you can't do is over curl on whatever line you're playing. If you're
or come up short.
Yeah, if you're staggered to this side of the yellow in your second count, I don't see how they're getting to on almost any line she throws.
No, I agree. Yeah, your second, as long as your second shot anywhere kind of above or beside it, you're good. Yeah, just can't be short. Final stone for Rachel Homan, and it might be her final stone of the game.
Gotta go hard. Line's really good. You just have to get it there. Looks really light. Head down.
It's got a long ways to go this time. Can the sweepers get it to the 8 foot?
Yeah, Sarah Wilkes has been on it pretty much since Rachel Homan let it go. Have to get it there for second shot.
Finish. Go.
It is second shot, but I don't
really good
know.
sweep.
Yeah, another great sweep from Sarah Wilkes. It's
good enough, I think.
Yeah, it's really tough double to stick it. Yeah, you're right. So, as we said, Tyler, really anywhere on that line, you're going to be pretty safe, and that came to pass there for Team Homan. And
yeah, that's 6 inches of line and 3 feet of depth off of where they wanted it ideally, and it's still good enough. So, again, as long as it was above the tee and didn't over curl and it was second count, you're good.
So final stone for Stefania Constantini, an open hit for 1, and most likely the final stone of the game here.
Anything further, I think, is an exercise in futility after this.
And pain for you and
there's
me.
Something you're really trying to work on as a team.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. Angela Romeo on this right out of the hand.
So I like the max amount of time I can get with you up here, John,
Likewise.
personally.
Likewise. So that is right on the beat. It will be a score of 1 for Team Constantini. And the gloves are indeed off. So Rachel Homan, 7-3 winners. That will improve them to 3-0, and they will officially become the first team here in St. John's to qualify for the playoffs. We will be back in about an hour and a half's time, 12 p.m. local. That is 9:30 a.m. No, 10:30 a.m. I got it right. 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, 7:30 a.m. Pacific. It will be Nicholas Adine facing off against John Schuster in a really important game for both of those teams, sitting at 1-1. Brent Lang, John Morris will be on the call for that one. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you back here very soon for Tyler George and the entire team here at Home Team Network. I've been John Cullen. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.